Up and at 'em, everybody. Thank you for joining us right here on Wake Up Worcester. Mark Ragsdale with us. The book is Car Wreck. And Mark, boy, thanks for being here. Couldn't have come out at a better time with all that we are thinking about is, are our cars that we are driving safe? And I think, Mark, it's not only if you're driving a Toyota. I mean, I think everybody's kind of got to think, well, you know, a month ago or 2 months ago, if I was driving a Toyota, I thought I was in the safest car. So if I'm in a Ford, if I'm in a Chevy, and I'm driving around now thinking it's perfectly safe, there's got to be a little something in the back of our minds that says, is it?
Well, through the fog of the entire Toyota debacle, because they're number one. Globally, they're number one. In the U.S., they're number two, so they're a big target anyway. And in the middle of this 4.6 million cars that they've recalled, Honda recalled 650,000. GM just last week announced 1 million recalls on steering. Nissan ordered 500,000 recalls. So there's a lot of it going on. What's
happening? I mean, are they recalling these because of what Toyota did? If Toyota hadn't had their debacle, would the rest, Nissan and everybody else, just have let us kind of blithely gone along and driven cars that weren't safe?
But this is opinion-based, okay? So I have to put a semicolon on this. But if you go back to last November, Akio Toyota started making announcements that we will no longer seek to be number one. Our blind striving towards becoming number one cost us something. It cost us something in quality. He mentioned also the currency exchange problems between the yen and the dollar, but said selling more cars isn't going to help us out of this.
Right.
So here we are 90 days later, 60 days later from his interview, or 45 days later, the recalls in fact manifest, and there's an instant witch hunt over this. Now, there could be an argument that in fact 37 people are dead that were driving those cars. Whether the condition caused those untimely deaths or not, you know, we don't know, but there'll certainly be plenty of litigation around it. I think the rest of the industry went to school through this and said, look, if we were waiting to see if we got more complaints or waiting to see if this was really coming out in the marketplace, that the penalties would be much larger through Congress. Right. So I think that's why you're seeing a string of them.
Well, and you have to think, too, you know, I mean, I'm taking a look at some of the articles that are out there. I mean, you know, a guy who was in prison who is now saying, hey, wait a minute, my stuck accelerator defense, you guys want to take another look at this. Number of people who have stepped forward and said, you know what, you know, my grandfather, my grandmother died. They had complained about this happening before. We just thought, geez, they're older. It's probably, you know, pilot error. And now I think we're going to see a lot of people coming back and saying an accident, maybe a fatal one happened, and they're going to take maybe re-examine that.
Absolutely. I think there's going to be plenty of litigation to go around. In fact, you know, when you take the political environment right now, where we have high jobless claims, where there's still a credit freeze going on. People are struggling, and this healthcare debacle has taken control of pretty much the conversations. I believe that the Congress would have jumped on any opportunity to hold big hearings and really bring this to the forefront of the public's attention. I mean, why continue talking about all this other news when we have red meat on the table now?
Right, yeah.
And it's by no coincidence, I believe, that the plaintiffs' bar, the trial lawyers, have coughed up $1 billion over the last 10 years for the party in charge right now. So I think you're going to see an awful lot of that going on, and hopefully we can put it to rest quickly, because I'm concerned about the consumers.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I'm concerned about
there's
172,000 people that work for that company and its dealers.
Yeah.
And we certainly can't afford to have another big player like GM go down. We can't afford to own another big player.
Yeah, it's interesting. We don't think about it that way. As the consumer or as the American public, we probably don't think about it that way. But I mean, this is somebody's livelihood. This is someone's job. This is someone's family that needs to be fed. They're staying awake, you know, in the middle of the night the same way that we are, thinking about their mortgage, thinking about how they're going to put their kids in college as well. But somehow it becomes this big, nameless, faceless corporation. It's just Toyota. It isn't the people who are actually working there.
It's so easy to, you know, kind of throw stones, but if you... And look, maybe they deserve it. Maybe they did cover things up. But they're not going to go hide in a cave in Pakistan. Right? Let's let them fix the